Today's topic, my writing advice, or little road chronicles. That's my friend's blog. But what I wanted to, talk about, or I guess the question I wanted to answer, the area I wanted to cover, was really, what is my favorite subgenre of sci-fi? And we all know sci-fi has a lot of subgenres. It's probably the literary genre with the most subgenres. I mean, because everything falls under sci-fi. It's supposed to be, something with a scientific element to it, but you think science, you think of biology, but there's social science. So damn near street lit can be sci-fi. Okay, but we're not going to go that far. We're going to stick with just the existing subgenres. Post-apocalypse. They call it dystopian. Really, apocalyptic is a really not cool thing to happen. So anything after that is dystopian or not good, which can be considered dystopian. But alternative history, horror falls under sci-fi. Again, I think that started with Frankenstein and Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, where you had a scientific horrific event, but it gave birth to both of those genres. So they've been debating, and sci-fi, I guess, is science fiction, scientific speculative fiction was probably the bigger one. But then you have time travel, you got robots, and I'm gonna not even remember all of them, just gonna run down them to you. But I guess you have paranormal, vampire, werewolves, witches, all that falls under sci-fi. Cyberpunk, as we like to call it. Sword and sorcery, spy stories, all that falls under sci-fi. My favorite subgenre of sci-fi would probably be space opera, but there's, like all literary genres, there's a little mix of something else in there, and I like adventurous stories, fast-paced adventurous stories. So if you're going to bring me a space opera that's moving slow, I'm not going to like it as much as I might like, post-apocalyptic story that moves fast. And as an adventurous, I need some multiple places. I need you to go all over the world. Indiana Jones all over the world. I need you to go James Bond all over the world. I need you to move fast. That's me. That's what I like. So even in those genres, I like a fast-paced, adventurous story. I like my zombies, more adventure, more World War Z than I like them scary or slow-moving or spooky. And there's so many examples of that now, because I'm a product of today. Whereas, the older zombie stories weren't as fast-moving. They were more, they weren't running zombies. And I think what did it, I always liked Dawn of the Dead. I'm not going, Night of the Living Dead, sorry. Night of the Living Dead, but I'm not going to go, as far as say I didn't like it. But I will say that when Dawn of the Dead changed to zombies and the little girl jumped up at the end of the hallway with Vin Diesel and Mekhi Phifer, I was like, yo, that was it. That changed the game for me. And I really, zombies really became a favorite. So, 28 Days Later, Quarantine, even the Resident Evil ones. What I like about Resident Evil is the zombies, the adventurous, experimental landscapes that they present, so that always lures me in, and then the story is trash. So I lose on the back end. But what I also like is Mad Max. I like Mad Max, fast-paced, moving, Mad Max Fury Road was prime example. I like that more than I like something post-apocalyptic like The Road. And I'm giving you film examples, but because those are really the best, those are easiest, and people can reference them and they can go look at the trailer. Whereas if I tell you books, it might not pull a visual for you. It might not pull a visual. So, or you may not be able to reference it as quick. You got to go read the back cover. I'll just use movies. And same thing with comic books. A lot of the comic books don't even have descriptions really on them unless you're reading previews. And those descriptions don't even go to Wikipedia. So it's really hard to find the description of a comic book. But, yeah, comic books too. I like my stories fast paced, a lot of energy. I like superhero stories, give me depth. You ain't got to be abstinence devoid of depth just because you fast paced. No, and because you're adventurous. So there you have it. So I like my vampires like Underworld. Give me, boom. Now I did like Let Me In, little creepy little story, but it didn't seem long. It had a lot of little elements, a little mysterious. So that was a break from the norm, probably for me. That's why I like so many superhero stories, because they have a lot of action, and I think that's what slowed me down with the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans, is they would have that period in there where there wasn't a lot of action going on. So I don't know. I'll say because of post-apocalyptic and because space opera. Oh, I even like cyberpunk, man. Cyberpunk. Oh my God, I wrote the cyberpunk story for this anthology called The City, which you have to check it out. It's banging. Just the cover alone is intriguing. But I like my cyberpunk stories like Total Recall. I like it moving fast. I don't want it like Blade Runner. Blade Runner, the remake was very slow. No, I need my cyberpunk stories like Dread. You understand? Moving quick. That's what I like. Star Wars, which you can probably argue is elements of funk or cyberpunk in there. So yeah, definitely. Oh my God, post-apocalyptic, futuristic, cyberpunk, which I think Afrofuturism will embody. Like my Afrofuturism stories will have a cyber funk element to it, and by design, just by it being African people, it is also Afrofuturistic. So, space stories, my space stories, just by design, being African characters, African American characters, it is Afrofuturism. So, Afrofuturism hasn't really distinguished itself from, say, something like cyberpunk or space operas, black space operas. It's sort of a variety of those things. It sort of can be any one of those things, because what do you call Black Panther? You know what I'm saying? Is it cyberpunk? No. Cyberpunk? No. Is it space opera? No. It's Afrofuturistic. So it's a superhero Afrofuturistic story. If they did a story in Wakanda, I don't know, and I would defer to my man Vernon from South Africa. Would cyber technological world even be true Afrofuturism? Because it's very wires, it's very inorganic, and a true African futuristic world is an organic world, nature-based. So we'd have to say something else, maybe an African American futuristic world. We've been impacted by the Western world a lot, so we think with a lot of spaceships. We think with a lot of wires. So traveling without a spaceship metaphysically is spooky to African Americans. If I say let's go to Mars and I open up my living room and pull out a mat for us to sit and meditate our way to Mars, people would be like, are you out of your mind? If I said, take this red or blue pill and it'll take you to Mars, they, rub these roots on your wrists and it'll take you to Mars, people would, that freak people out. But I think that's the way Africans, Afrofuturism would demonstrate or materialize itself. So there you have it. I'm just, somebody asked me a question, what is my favorite subgenre of sci-fi? And as much as I like vampires and werewolves and zombies, if you put them in the cyberpunk world, or you take them to outer space, or you put them in a post-apocalyptic adventurous action story, now you got me. But on alone, I'm going to say space opera, I'm going to say apocalypse, and then I'm going to say cyberpunk. Those are my top cyberpunk. I keep saying the other version. All right. So anyway, that's me. Those are my top 3. At least you have it. But I'm going to write on all of them. I'm writing a pirate story. I've written a pirate story. I've written time travel, which is futuristic, because we can't do time travel now. But I'm pretty sure through Afrofuturism, we could find some ancient form of time travel, which I believe there was, because I believe our society, humanity has dumbed itself down, and we were more brilliant than we are now. That's just my thing. But anyway, I'm a hotep, right? I'm a romanticize about Africa and its culture and its traditions, all right? But anyway, that's my answer to the question. Space opera, apocalyptic, cyberpunk. All right? Talk to you later. Peace.